All right, we're back. And after my last pick, the next ones were Fred Jackson, Mark Ingram, the Panthers defense, Antonio Gates, D'Angelo Williams, Brandon Cooks, DeAndre Hopkins, Russell Wilson, Mike Evans, Jordan Reed, Greg Jennings, Kyrie Robinson, the Chiefs defense, Riley Cooper, the 49ers defense, Tony Romo, Dwayne Bowe, Danny Amendola, and now it's my pick. So, what do we need? We need no position specifically. I mean, the only roster spots we have to fill are defense and kicker. We're going to wait on that. So flexing for the most part. Flexing strong, flexing hard, the huge. Just kind of to illustrate what quarterbacks are still available here. Roethlisberger, Dalton, Eli Manning, Carson Palmer, McCown, Flacco, Tannehill, Manziel, Alex Smith. You can wait. You can play the QB by committee card if you want to, and it's a totally viable strategy. I don't feel bad about the Matt Ryan pick at all, by the way. I do like the way this team is shaping up. With that said, overall, what are we looking at? The running backs available, according to our ranks, the best ones are in the Terrence West, Ahmad Bradshaw, Andre Williams, James White, Noshawn Moreno kind of zone. And wide receivers, Ruben Randall, Kelvin Benjamin, Kenny Stills, Marcus Wheaton, Justin Hunter. I'm going to see what my opponents here are doing. They're kind of, all over the place. So I'm going to take Ruben Randall. I think he offers quite a bit of upside here. I'm not, super excited about the pick, to be honest with you. But it's fine. I would actually probably take Kelvin Benjamin in this spot if I didn't just draft Greg Olsen. I don't want to lean that hard on the Panthers offense. With that said, he's been really impressive so far, and, I don't want to put this. There's a decent chance that the Giants were just, for whatever reason, not on top of their game last year, and that this year they're going to kind of get back to kind of what we were used to 2 or 3 years ago from Eli Manning and Victor Cruz. And, I just realized that I made an argument against taking Kelvin Benjamin because I had Greg Olsen. I just took Ruben Randall when I had Victor Cruz. I don't mind it. It actually makes me like the pick a lot less. But at the same time, it is kind of a bit of a handcuff in case one of these guys gets hurt. The value of the other one will go up. And again, Randall's, a bench player, so it's not like I'm spending a lot of real estate on him. But not as excited about that pick as I was when I was making it. So, oops. Sorry. It is kind of tricky sometimes to manage, talking about the draft and also paying attention to the team that you're drafting and trying to get, the most value out of all your picks. So with that in mind, just another small piece of advice for when you're drafting is just focus and make sure that you understand what's going on, what your team needs kind of the entire time. And, sometimes that might mean not having the 5th beer, or in some cases not having, the 2nd beer. But overall, this stuff's supposed to be fun. I don't really care that Ruben Randall got drafted to my team here when I already have Victor Cruz. Again, there's a lot of variance involved in this game, and, you can't take it too seriously, especially, in a free ESPN league with what is now a group of 5 auto drafters. Jeez. Anyway, I'm back on the clock here after Steve Smith, Hakeem Nicks, Noshawn Moreno, and Terrence West were selected. I am going to take Devontae Freeman, the backup to Steven Jackson, because Steven Jackson always gets hurt, and I want another running back. So, welcome to the team, buddy. And after all these auto drafters make a bunch of really fast picks, I will be right back. All right, we're back for the auto draft bonanza. After my last pick, the next ones were Trey Mason, the Broncos defense, Donald Brown, Sean Green, Christian Michael, Doug Baldwin, Jeremy Hill, Jared Cook, Tavon Austin, Justin Hunter, Kyle Rudolph, LeGarrette Blount, Matt Prater, James Jones, Roethlisberger, and Brian Hartline. 2 picks up before I am on the clock again. Some good values there. Justin Hunter is a nice one. Jeremy Hill is a nice one. Doug Baldwin, is he just the new Brian Hartline? I think he might be. I think he's going to put up numbers this year. I think he's being pretty undervalued. I mean, not to say that you'd ever really be excited about drafting him before, right around now, 125 picks plus in. The next 2 picks before me here were Eli Manning and the Cardinals defense. So, yeah, what are we doing here? I was kind of hoping that Where did he? I was kind of hoping that Justin Hunter would make it back to me here, or that Jeremy Hill would make it back to me here. They did not. So we've got 3 bench spots left to play with. ESPN does require you to fill out all of your starting lineup spots, so I will have to draft a defense and a kicker eventually. With that said, the guys on my radar here are Kelvin Benjamin, as discussed earlier, and Rod Streeter of the Raiders. You know, somebody has to catch those passes in Oakland. And Matt Schaub, while he's not the greatest quarterback who ever walked the earth, he's not necessarily the worst either. And, you know, Streeter, if he maintains, you know, his status as the number 1 wide receiver on that team, he's going to be pretty good. The other guys I'm looking at are some running backs here: Ahmad Bradshaw, Jonathan Stewart, Andre Williams, Ronnie Hillman. So Hillman would strictly be kind of a handcuff to Ball, and I'm typically not a big handcuff fan, so I'm not going to do that. I'm actually going to take Kelvin Benjamin. Flies in the face of, you know, what I talked about earlier with Cruz and Randall, but at this point I can't pass up, you know, what could be the number 1 wide receiver for Cam Newton, which sounds just a lot more appealing than the number 1 receiver for Matt Schaub, doesn't it? Yeah, it does. So the guy at the end here is now auto-drafting, although it does not appear that he has left the draft necessarily. We will see what happens with these next 4 picks. In the meantime, what do I want? I think I'm definitely not ready to take a defense just yet. This is the point where you can start to think about it, at least. Some people say never take one before the second to last round, and that assumes that you're taking a kicker in the last round. I don't, you know, I think kicker in the last round is definitely something you just do, because it doesn't really make sense to value those guys, you know, at all highly, because they're so volatile from year to year. But defenses, some are better than others, and maybe there's one that, even if you're streaming, you just want one with a really awesome week 1 matchup. And if that's the case, then, you know, go get the defense you want, and, you know, just be ready to drop them and hope that you didn't pass on, you know, somebody really good to get them. Right, so it's back to me here. I could take Streeter and just, you know, kind of lock that down. Bradshaw is appealing, I can't lie. Let's see who else is available. Bradshaw, while is appealing, he's kind of a safe pick. Not a whole lot of upside there. It's not like he's going to be a full-time runner necessarily on that team. Lance Dunbar would have a little bit more upside. I'd say that Roy Halou would be up there. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to take Streeter, and then I'm going to start looking at, you know, let's take a look at defenses real quick and just see who's available. Maybe we can see. Yeah, it doesn't show us their week 1 opponents, unfortunately. So let's look that up. We'll just go to ESPN, you know. Stick with the format we're looking here. We'll look at the schedule. And this is preseason. Who cares? 2014 regular season, please. All right. So what looks appealing here? Atlanta defense against New Orleans? Nah. St. Louis against Minnesota could be good. I have a feeling the Rams are gone already. That appears to be the case. Pittsburgh at Cleveland could be okay. I'm not a huge fan of the Pittsburgh defense, but, you know, Brian Hoyer and Johnny Manziel don't really scare me that much on the opposing side. Philadelphia at Jacksonville could be a fun one. Let's see. The Jets at Oakland. That seems pretty appealing. And the Jets are available. They're ranked pretty low. Usually the Jets just kind of inherently get, you know, credit for being the Jets defense in fantasy rankings. Let's take a look at our rankings of defenses and go from there. So we've got, you know, kind of the usual suspects up here at the top. And who's available? The Patriots were recently selected, it appears. I don't know. I'm probably not going to draft a defense this round anyway. I'll probably take one more bench player and do the default, you know, defense last round and kicker second to last. So we'll rejoin in just a moment, and I'll quiet down my dog. Okay, we're back here, and I'm not going to recap all the picks. I'll scroll through them for you here real quick. You know, save my precious voice. A lot of backup running backs, a lot of defenses, some backup QBs. I guess that's another thing I can consider here. And I do think that there's a little bit more upside to be had by taking a guy like, James White of the Patriots, although I tend to stay away from that committee when I can. Kenny Stills, Marcus Wheaton. These guys are all, pretty valuable. If I were to take a backup QB here, I'd probably just make it Tannehill or Manziel for the upside. And Carson Palmer would also be in consideration if, more people were on that plan. With that said, yeah, sure, Johnny Football, let's go. It's not a bad lottery ticket, to be honest. If he rushes for a lot of yards, he's going to have some serious value. At this point, I am required by ESPN law to select a defense or a kicker next. And, the ones that are jumping out at me here are Pittsburgh against Cleveland, just up against Hoyer or Manziel. And I also don't mind the Browns defense against the Steelers. Roethlisberger and the Steelers don't really have the best offensive line. And yeah, that could be a fine pick. I also kind of like the Bears. They draw Buffalo at home in Week 1. The Bears defense was really bad last season, but they are, going to be pretty good in that matchup, I think, because EJ Manuel just looks terrible. Last but not least, and the team that I want to make it back to me here, I think, is Houston. I have a feeling their defense is going to be pretty good this year. They get Washington in Week 1, but they do play them at home, and that's a good defensive squad, especially with what's his name, Clowney, joining the ranks. So I'm going to take them here, assuming they don't get sniped right before I pick, and then it'll be time for a kicker in the last round. And you know what? Screw it. I'm not even going to show you what kicker I select. I might just let it auto draft one for me. So with that said, as we kind of wrap things up, thanks again for tuning in. This is always a good time for me. I love to kind of share my thoughts on, the fantasy football landscape and the drafting process in general. I try not to repeat myself between these drafts too much, but, sometimes I do. I like to harp on some of the same points. With that said, I'm going to try to get some other personalities onto the draft videos with me in the future. Maybe get some dissenting or confirming opinions from my colleagues. And look forward to that. That should be fun. We'll take the Texans defense here. And, that does it. Thanks again. Make sure to check out thefakefootball.com for all your fake football needs, rankings, dynasty stuff, 2 quarterback leagues, DFS, daily fantasy, I should say. The mock draft simulator is also very cool. I think the next time I do a video, I might just warm up with a little mock draft simulator action. And yeah, thanks again for watching, and we'll catch you next time. My name's Greg Smith. Have a good day.